Hi, and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's Game of Thrones Season 6 predictions for Tyrion. This video is the first in a series of videos where I will give my predictions on what I think will happen with a specific character in Season 6. So, spoiler warning for Game of Thrones up to Season 5. Also, be careful of spoilers from filming and casting news. If you don't want to hear anything about the filming currently going on, this video may not be for you. Also, some mild book spoilers for those of you who haven't read the books. So, those familiar with my channel know last year I made a series of Season 5 prediction videos. Or rather, I made one long predictions video and followed up with a lot of update videos. However, this year I decided to divide my predictions over a series of videos where each one I will explore a different character. Last year I said I was aiming to get about 50% of my predictions right, a number I more or less met. However, last year I had the novels to go off of. This year I have no such luxury. All I have is filming news and what I can infer from what's happened in the novels and the show so far. Which is the main reason why I waited later in the year to make these videos, as last year I made all my initial predictions in August. However, this time, since Season 6 is going to be so hard to predict, I waited until October to begin, to give me time to gather my thoughts and to hear more of filming news as it comes in. However, for Season 6, most of my predictions are just going to be completely wild shots in the dark. Therefore, I'm not expecting the same success rate I had with Season 5, so my new goal for Season 6 predictions is 20%, which I think will be quite hard to make, to be honest. I'm not sure I'll be able to do it, but I'll give it a shot. Initially, my goal was 10%, but with all the filming news coming out, that gave me a bit of help, so I thought I'd raise my goal to 20%, but I'll see how I do. So this video is specifically for my predictions about Tyrion Lannister and what I think he'll be up to next season. So Tyrion is obviously a fan favorite. However, for me personally, there are some seasons I think he's better than others. In Season 1, he didn't appear all that much, but when he did, he always had a witty comeback. In Season 2, he totally kicked ass as Hand of the King, came in, found out who he could trust, who he couldn't. He threw Pycelle in the black cells and sent Janos Slynt to the wall, and then went above his sister in order to prepare for Stannis' attack on King's Landing, which he successfully defended. In Season 3, his father took over and he was basically being pushed around and no one respected him for anything he did, and instead simply forced him to marry Sansa. In Season 4, he was outright blamed for killing the king and finally had enough of being treated like shit and told everyone he wished he could just kill them all, and then he actually did kill his father. In Season 5, he was just moping around a lot and was, overall really apathetic. Although he did manage to get on Daenerys' good side. So out of those 5 seasons, Season 2 was by far my favorite season for Tyrion, as I felt that's where he was at the height of his powers, as he was just going around kicking ass, being witty all the time, and it was really cool to see, as opposed to Season 3 where he was just being shoved around, or Season 5 where he's just being all mopey. I found him considerably less interesting then. So ever since Season 2, I've been dying to see that kick-ass Tyrion again, where he's given power and uses his wits to outmaneuver everyone. And Season 6, I do believe I will finally get my wish. Where we left off last in Season 5, he was put in charge of the city of Meereen with Grey Worm and Missandei as the official leaders of the city, but Tyrion was meant to be the true power behind them. And then Varys shows up, and it looks like he's going to aid Tyrion in his task, which is to try to stabilize a city on the verge of civil war, where one half of the city wants to kill the other half. And Varys even outlined how to accomplish this by finding out who are your friends and who aren't your friends. So I do believe in Season 6, Tyrion will be just like he was in Season 2, except he'll be in an even better position because he won't have to deal with Joffrey or Cersei's bullshit, and thus will effectively be given free range to rule the city, and I think he's going to kick some ass. So the conflict in Meereen won't be a physical battle as much as a political one, which is what Tyrion is really good at. There was a casting leak that came out shortly after Season 5 ended that showed someone auditioning for a Red Priestess. Although we had heard from other actors cast for Season 6 that that audition piece wasn't actually used in the show. I'm going to work off the assumption that this one will be, as it featured Tyrion and Varys approaching a Red Priestess they brought over from Volantis to try to convince the people that Daenerys is their savior, which the Red Priestess firmly believe, in order to unite the people behind Daenerys' rule, which their main goal is to create order. So I think this scene will be in episode 1, and this is the first thing Tyrion and Varys will try to do. It's funny they're casting a new priestess, as I thought they'd use the same one we saw last season, especially since they're saying this priestess is coming from Volantis, but I don't know. Maybe they couldn't get that actress for season 6. Would have made much more sense because that long stare she gave him, but whatever. At any rate, I think this will mostly be successful in uniting the majority of the people behind Daenerys, as they will have to work to win over even the small folk again after that stunt she pulled with executing Mazador. But of course, this won't appease everyone, so Tyrion's next step will be to do exactly what Varys suggested, find out who are his friends and who aren't. So he'll meet with the nobles, and Varys will gather information about them so they can start determining who is working with the Sons of the Harpy and who isn't. Because in season 5, after the Harpy attack that killed Barristan, Daenerys had no idea which nobles were working with the Harpies and which weren't, so she just gathered them all up together and killed one at random. Tyrion is going to be a lot more precise than that, and is going to work to gather the knowledge first. So I think they'll come up with a short list of the nobles they think are most likely working with the Harpies, and Tyrion will set traps for them to test them, in a similar manner that he did in season 2, where he tested Varys, Littlefinger, and Pycelle to see which one he could trust. And so Tyrion will determine a few of the people he knows are definitely working with the Harpies, and will work to undermine them and move against them. Not by killing them, but by setting political traps for them that make them look weak and bad to the public. And he'll also try to turn them against each other by setting traps that promote infighting amongst these corrupt nobles, as to try to get them to wipe each other out. These initial efforts will be successful in severely damaging the Sons of the Harpy movement. However, by this time they'll see what's happening and work to strike back, so they will stage several more devastating attacks. In one of these attacks, they will break into the catacombs where the dragons are being kept and attempt to kill them. So what happened at Daznak's pit doesn't happen again. However, they will fail to kill them, but instead will accidentally release them, and the dragons will be out and about the city wreaking havoc, and they'll make little homes for themselves atop temples where Harpy statues used to be. This will be a huge setback for Tyrion, as this will turn a lot of people against him and Daenerys, because they will see her dragons as a curse, so tensions will begin to rise again, undoing some of the progress Tyrion has made. So it's important to note that there has been filming news that depicts a lot of starving people in the streets, so Watchers on the Wall has interpreted this as a famine. I think that may not necessarily be the case. It could just be Tyrion's visiting with some poor and hungry people. But in either case, I feel Tyrion will help feed these people, which will make him popular with the poor, but not so much with the rich. Anyway, by this stage, he will have a lot clearer picture of who exactly his enemies are, and so we'll send Grey Worm and the Unsullieds to root them out, but will mostly be unsuccessful. Then Varys will learn of a massive coordinated attack against them, where they will try to kill him, Grey Worm, and Missandei in order to seize control of Meereen again, but he will be unsure of the details. But he does know this will be a coordinated attack with inside and outside, as Yunkai would have hired sellsword companies to send after them. Now, it's important to note the difference between the books and the show for you book readers out there, because the scenario that's set up in the show is very different, as Meereen isn't nearly as vulnerable in the show as it was in the books, and Yunkai has been betrayed in the show is in a very weakened state, who was utterly defeated in season 3, and they don't have many forces to speak of, unlike in the books where they are a very strong presence. So I do not think we'll get a huge battle battle in Meereen in the show like there will be in the books. The scenario is much more simplified than that, but I do think young Kai was involved in the Harpy attacks at Daznak's Pit. As you recall, in Season 4, his daughter and Daario were sent on a peace mission to make peace with young Kai, and in Season 5 they returned reporting it was a resounding success. However, the one condition young Kai had was that Daenerys reopen the fighting pits, which she eventually did, and that is when the Harpies launched a massive attack in which she was almost killed. So I have no doubt that young Kai is in on it with the Harpies, and they are working together to try to out Daenerys. And with Tyrion coming in and slowly breaking down the Harpies and turning them against each other, they will become more desperate and will hire sellswords and send them on a last-ditch effort to oust Daenerys' forces from Meereen. Also, before I continue any further, I just want to talk about how we will get a few scenes, not a lot, but a few with Tyrion and Grey Worm and Missandei. There'll be like a few character building scenes, and they'll learn to develop appreciation for one another. So around episode 5 or 6, Varys will announce he needs to leave to return to Westeros to prepare for Daenerys' arrival, whom has yet to return to Meereen, but Varys is still confident that she will and instructs Tyrion to advise them to return to Westeros as soon as possible. There has been reports of a scene being filmed where Varys says goodbye to Tyrion at a port, so I believe it will be this scene. So in episode 7, the Harpies will launch their last-ditch effort, and even though Tyrion knows it's coming, he won't know the specifics, so will be partly caught off guard. And so the Harpies and the sellswords will appear to be making progress, and he's done for until Daenerys shows up with Jorah, Daario, Drogon, and a huge horde of Dothraki all fighting on her side. They will very easily wipe out the Sons of the Harpy and the young Kai forces, and of course I'll get more into how Dany managed to woo the Dothraki in my Daenerys predictions video. Thus, it will be kind of similar to Tywin arriving at Blackwater to save the day. However, unlike Tywin, Daenerys will be grateful for all Tyrion has done, as Grey Worm and Missandei will vouch for him. And it will be like Blackwater in the case that Daenerys will publicly get all the credit for Tyrion's hard work, but he won't mind because she'll appreciate what he did. And because of Tyrion's efforts, he managed to root out and minimize the forces against Daenerys, so when they wipe out the Harpies, they pretty much slaughtered what was left of them, and what few nobles remain that are against her, Tyrion will be fully aware of, so will tell Daenerys, who will publicly execute them, thus making Meereen a fully united and peaceful city once again. Daenerys will once again befriend her dragons, who at this stage will be free. So Tyrion will tell Daenerys about the plans to return to Westeros, and with everything in place, they will leave to Westeros. Daenerys will leave Meereen in the rule of Grey Worm and Missandei, who will become the permanent rulers of Meereen. While she will technically still be the queen, she will effectively be a figurehead and leave Grey Worm and Missandei behind to be the practical rulers. They'll also leave behind about 2,000 unsullied forces to maintain order in the now peaceful city, and will take the remaining unsullied and the Second Sons and the Dothraki Khalasar with her to Westeros. And again, I'll get more into this in my Daenerys video. Anyway, episode 7 will end with them leaving for Westeros. So I've noticed a few people on some other YouTube channel and videos and whatnot wondering how Daenerys will get the ships to return to Westeros. However, if you were paying attention, you'd notice she already has the ships. As in Season 4, they stated they took the Meereenese fleet, which consists of 97 ships, which will be enough to bring them all back to Westeros. So they'll leave in episode 7 and arrive in Westeros in about episode 9. And if you think that's rather fast for them to get all the way from Meereen to Westeros, remember, this is the show we're talking about here, where travel times make absolutely no sense whatsoever, where Locke can get from Harrenhal to Craster's Keep in several episodes. Also, to be clear, I think this is going to be very different in the books, as I don't think they'll return to Westeros until much later in the books. However, I think it will happen earlier in the show because Daenerys' forces are effectively going to take the role of young Griff's forces. So, they'll return to Westeros. However, Tyrion will not be going with Daenerys, who, along with her forces, will have a different destination, which I'll get more into when I do her video. However, Tyrion would have been given another side mission by Varys before he left, and will be sent by himself on another mission. Now, as to where this is, it's a really wild shot in the dark and pretty out there for a prediction. One that is most likely to be wrong, but I'm just going to throw it out there and say Tyrion will go to Old Town. Now, I'm basing this mostly off of how apparently it's been said that Season 6 will have more characters coming together and meet who haven't met before, even more so than Season 5 did. So I tried to incorporate this into my theories, but honestly I don't really know who that could be, so I'm going to make a bunch of wild guesses as you know, and just see if anything is right. So I'm going to say Tyrion joins Samwell's storyline for the last 2 episodes of the season. And the main reason I'm saying this is because I don't think Samwell has enough other characters with him in Old Town, and as we know, the show doesn't like to have main characters off by themselves without other main characters to play off of, and I don't think they'll just have a bunch of new characters in Old Town. So Tyrion will have a mission in Old Town, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, even though there's been no casting news about this, and say that Maester Marwyn will be in the show. So unlike the books where Marwyn goes off to Meereen to look for Daenerys, an associate of Daenerys will seek him out as apparently he knows something important about her dragons. And what this is, I'm still not sure. It may have something to do with the Great Maester conspiracy, but maybe we'll get into that a bit more in Samwell's storyline. Anyway, Samwell would have already met him at this point, and thus Tyrion will see Samwell as a man of the Night's Watch, which he respects, and will meet him. And once he learns he's good friends with Jon Snow, will trust him and elicit his help in his mission involving Marwyn, whatever that may be. Okay, so I'm a bit short on details on this one, and admits it's a bit of a long shot, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Anyway, I think Tyrion's Season 6 storyline will end in a bit of a cliffhanger where he's successful in approaching Marwyn, which will set up a storyline for Season 7. So that's it for my predictions for Tyrion. I know a lot of this is a bit far-fetched, but as I said, Season 6 predictions are much harder to do. As I said, I'll be happy if I get even 20% of this right. Also, please bear in mind that I won't be able to comment on any of my Daenerys predictions until I get to her video, so please don't ask, and hold your criticisms about my predictions for her for that video, where I will go into a bit more detail of what's going down with her. So, every Monday, I'll be doing a new character-based Season 6 predictions video for the rest of the year, so be sure to check back here every week for more Season 6 predictions, and make sure you subscribe so you can keep up with all that, and thanks a lot for watching.